back to The Pitch. This is the 5th episode, I believe, but it's the first one since the end of JAL XII. Now, as I said before at the beginning of this show, it was going to be my show, and it still is, but I've decided that I like doing it more when Cale is here and I have someone to go back and forth with, so he's going to be joining us quite a bit here on the show.
Yeah, that's right, and so because this is the first episode since JAL XII, we already did the recap show, so we're going to use this episode of The Pitch to look at each franchise going forward. Now, here's something that is very important before we get started. The league has not yet started official production on JAL XIII. We will soon, but we haven't yet. But we do know that it will not take place before any upcoming high school graduations that could be in late May or early June. And as you all know, the JAL has policies on contracts with high school players, one of which is that high school players cannot be paid, but the other more important one, in this case, is that their contract with whatever team they're on expires when they graduate. So, since we know that the seniors will graduate before JAL XIII, any of those players' contracts are automatically expired as of right now, because there's no point in waiting until June for them to expire. Since there isn't going to be a tournament before then. So players like Tate Klein, Nick Proudfit, Kyle Koopman, just to name a few, they're free, or any other player in that situation, they're all free agents right now, because there's no point in waiting, like we said. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. It should, because it's not very complicated.
Alright, let's get into the meat of the show now. So basically we're just going to run through each team and what we think of them going forward into the next couple tournaments. Let's start with the Bison, Cale. First of all, the whole team is free agents. Ty, maybe Michael could sign with someone else possibly, we don't know, but what do you think?
Yeah, James French, the Bison owner, he's really got his hands full.
Yeah.
Doing signings in this off-season. He's got to re-sign himself, which he will. But Ty and Michael are both free agents also, and Michael may draw attention from some other teams after his performance in the last tournament, JAL XII, because he hit really well. Brock, what do you think? Think he could go to another team?
I do. You bring this up a couple of days ago. I really think that he could maybe go with the Fog. The Fog seem like they're looking to sign someone. They got Lucas. He didn't end up showing up, but they're looking like they want someone else there to kind of help out, especially after their poor performance in the last tournament. So I could see him going to the Fog. I don't know about Ty. I think I could see him just going back to the Bison, but I could definitely see Michael leaving.
Here's the thing with Michael. Michael's a really loyal friend, and he's very good friends with James French. So
That's true.
I don't know if he could leave the Bison. Let's be honest, he probably is. If he's really serious about trying to win a championship, he probably needs to leave and go to a different team, because he's a good enough player. He could contribute to a championship team.
Yeah.
And I do think the Fog is the most likely scenario because, like I said, he's good friends with James, but he's also very good friends with Darren Io, who's the owner of the Fog. So we'll see what happens there.
Yep. All right, let's move on. What do we have about the U-Dogs, Cale?
Well, Dustin's contract expired after JAL XII, and he's leaving to Europe to go play professional basketball, or baseball. So he's not going to be around till next fall.
Right.
But the owner, Kathy Woodruff, she said she doesn't want to re-sign him anyway, and so he's a free agent right now, and it's doubtful that anyone is going to sign him before he comes back in the fall because they aren't going to want his salary just sitting there on the salary cap.
Yeah.
So Kyle Koopman, he's also a free agent because he's one of those high school players like we were just talking about. That contract is expired right now, and he's been flirting around with the idea of starting his own expansion team. He told us after the tournament. What did he tell us, Brock?
He basically told us that he doesn't want to be part of the Underdogs anymore.
Even if he's not going to start his own expansion franchise, he's not coming back to that team.
Right. I would be very surprised if he doesn't get his own team, though.
Yeah, I would too. So going forward, basically the core of that team is Adam Clark and Tierney Eulencott. What do you think of that core?
Well, first of all, I don't see Tierney going anywhere else because she's always been part of Granny's team. She's had a couple tournaments where she wasn't, but she's usually on Granny's team. I can't see her leaving the underdogs. As far as Adam goes, he played, after he was thrown into the pitching role, he played pretty well, I thought, in JAL XII. What do you think? I think he could sign somewhere else. And
yeah, you know, I actually think he's not a bad player to have be your starting pitcher.
Right.
And Tierney's not a bad offensive player. Look, this team isn't great, but
it's not horrible though.
It's not horrible. They could sneak into the playoffs, you know, next tournament.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though, Granny likes having more than 2 players on her roster, and the fact that if Adam was the starting pitcher, she's not going to want Tierney to be playing in the field. So
right.
I think it's more likely than not that, and they have a lot of cap space now, that Dustin is out.
Yeah.
So
you know what I'm interested to see is, now that Dustin's gone because he was their starting pitcher, if Tierney really decides if she wants to try that underhand pitching. I'd be very interested to see that.
Too, but yeah, maybe her if she can get it nailed down, maybe her and Adam could split time.
Yeah, I don't know.
We were just talking about Michael. I could see her going after Michael too. I don't know if he would go there, but
right.
This is possible.
Yep. All right, let's move on. Who's next? The Cobras. Well, yep. You and Kevin will both be returning. Neither contract's expired, and Michael Sullivan will likely be back. You've played with him as a teammate. Are you? Obviously, I'm guessing you're excited that he's going to be back.
Yeah, he told me that he should be back for JAL XIII, and yeah, I'm excited. He's a good pitcher. He's a good hitter. I think having him back, him and Kevin, Dad, they would split time probably at pitcher.
Yeah, that's a good idea, I think, because we saw in JAL XII when Kevin, our dad, gets fatigued, he definitely, his level of pitching drops. So
yeah, and yeah, I mean, our team really doesn't have that much cap space right now. We only have $3 in cap space, so the most we could do is sign like a rookie, or go out and sign a high school player because they're contract free, and someone that, you know, I think that our team's owner Erica may look at is Bryce Desarmo, because everyone knows I'm lazy in the field, and
That's true.
Bryce is not lazy.
No.
And
yeah, I can see
he's
that.
He's a player, I can see him go.
Yeah. But without, even if you guys don't sign anyone, you have a good foundation. You have a good chance to win it each time. So you're in pretty good position either way.
Yeah.
All right, tell us about the Rapids.
Well, if you remember before JAL XII, the Rapids franchise tagged Ty Johnson. So because of that, he has one tournament left with the team. Sean Godino will be back in JAL XIII. They had Nick Proudfit for the last tournament, but he's another one of those high school seniors that is technically a free agent right now.
Right.
You know, I think they should try to re-sign Nick.
I do too.
He was a good player.
He was. He was active in the field, and he was a pretty good batter, which was kind of surprising. But I actually said in those free agent things a couple weeks ago, I thought he was someone that could contribute to a championship level team, and I think he can. So I think it'd be good for them to go after him.
Yeah, look, I think the biggest question mark with the Rapids going forward, especially in JAL XIII, will be Ty coming off that knee surgery. He's having knee surgery on May 29th.
Yeah.
And originally the doctors said you're going to be on crutches for like a month or so afterward, but he went in and got a second opinion a couple weeks ago, and they said that now he probably won't need the crutches. And so he said after that, yeah, I'm going to play in JAL XIII if I don't need to be on crutches or anything.
Right. Whether
or not how effective he would be at pitcher, if he's still kind of limping around, I don't know. What do you think?
How long would it be? How many weeks off would he be off surgery?
We don't know when JAL XIII is going to be at. It would be probably at least a couple weeks.
Right. I don't know. I think he might struggle. But I also think Sean pitched in high school, so I think you could maybe throw him in there. He might be able to be effective. But I don't know.
Ty's that team's rock, though. I don't know.
It's true. He is.
I don't know. And the thing, which knee is it? Do we know which knee it is?
It is, I'm not sure.
Because if it's the knee that he has to plant off of to throw and to bat, then it's a big deal.
I think it's his left knee.
Well, that would be better then. We'll find that out. That's just going to have to be a wait and see thing.
Yeah. They might need to sign someone else, though.
I think if he's healthy, they'll be fine. I mean, they took first in the last tournament in the regular season, so
they could still make the playoffs.
They could still make the playoffs. If he's not 100% though, I don't know about their chances of. I don't know. I
agree. All right.
Okay. Next is the Fog. We'll shift to the American Conference now. Brock, what do you think of them going forward?
Well, both players are returning, Darren and Jacob. They signed Lucas. He didn't show up for JAL XII, but he's on their roster. And, like we talked about, they might go after Michael. But I think it's obvious they need to do something, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We saw the Fog can win, but it was when the weather was awful and playing conditions were rough and it was defensive oriented and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now that we're moving into the summer and the nice weather, I mean, they really got exposed in JAL XII.
Something interesting we have on our notes here is Tate Klein with a question mark. Do you see that happening? I mean, I don't.
Know what? They need a pitcher.
They do.
They need a pitcher, and here's the thing. Lucas Myers is a very unreliable player in this league right now.
Yeah.
But he is on their roster. So if he becomes active for JAL XIII and he finally plays for this team, then maybe that would lure Tate into potentially signing with them, because I think Lucas Myers is going to be a good player, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be good. He'll be above average, I think.
And look, this team has. Let me think here. They've got $6 in cap space.
Yeah.
And Tate Klein's never got a paid contract before.
That's true.
If Darren is willing to throw all of that $6 at him, maybe that would get him. I don't know. They've got a bad reputation right now.
Yeah. The only thing that intrigues me is Tate. He's always wanted to be a pitcher.
He would get the starting pitcher.
He would. He definitely would. I just don't know if he's going to leave the Express. They're just such a dominant team. But maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Let's shift to the Express now. Tell me about the Express, bro.
Well, Kyle and Brad are both returning. They have one tournament left on their contract. Tate's contract is up because, like you talked about earlier, he's on a high school contract. Do you think they'll go after him again? I think they probably will.
Yeah, I think Garrett's definitely going to do all he can to keep him.
He was their best hitter. You almost have to, I think, but
yeah,
I don't see why you wouldn't either.
I think Garrett will do everything in his power to keep him around. Look, I think as long as this team stays together, this big three, they're going to be the favorites every tournament, unless some new incoming talent that we don't know about yet comes in and, But, I mean, they absolutely dominated JAL XII, so...
Let's talk a little bit...
Of course he's going to try to keep him.
Well, yeah. Let's talk a little bit further in advance in keeping these three together. Brad and Kyle both have one tournament left, but you think they might want to get some more money, especially Kyle with the production that he's putting up after the next tournament.
Well, here's the interesting thing. After JAL XII, Kyle came up to me, and he told me that he wants to get paid as much money as possible.
Wow.
Yeah, so Garrett's got his hands full after JAL XIII in retaining this team.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work, being able to keep Brad, Tate,
Yeah.
With a salary cap, it just makes everything difficult.
It does.
If Garrett can convince them that not to take money, stay together, get paid, not that much.
Well, it sounds like that's going to be a struggle to do that. But you obviously pay Kyle the most amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, even if they lose Tate Klein, I think Kyle Godino and Brad Williamson, that team's still the favorites, though.
Yeah, but I think if you're picking two, I think it's Kyle and Tate.
You think?
I do. I think Tate's a better hitter than Brad. But
yeah. Well,
we'll see.
You know what? I would say this to all the other owners out there in the league: if you want to beat this Express team, you know what I think? I think the best way to do that is, as an owner, try to split this team up. Go after their free agents. Go after Tate Klein.
Yeah.
When Brad and Kyle become free agents after the next tournament, go after them. Try to split them up. That's the best way to beat them.
Yeah.
Because they showed in JAL XII you can't do it on the field.
Right.
All right, let's move on to the Bambinos, Brock.
All right, Bambinos. Nate, Tyler, and Lane all returning for their final tourney on their rookie contracts. I was actually kind of surprised with these guys. They were pretty good, I thought. Especially
we talked about the last.
Huh?
We talked about the last tournament. They have good upside. I think.
Yeah, especially when Nate went into the pitching role. He struggled a little bit at the beginning, but he throws hard. His ball moves around, and I think they have a pretty bright future going forward with just these three guys.
And they didn't have Colton Titus, who is
That's
a high
true.
school player for JAL XII. He's expected to be back for JAL XIII, and he's a pitcher too,
Right.
is what owner Hunter tells me.
Right.
So I don't really see Hunter making any moves with this roster in the off season, Brock.
No, I don't. Especially because he already has 4 guys.
Yeah, the roster's full.
And I believe he's friends with all 4 of them. So
Yeah.
I don't see any moves changing, but I think they can be dangerous going forward, just with what they
Yeah,
have.
the only way there would be moves with this roster is if he were to trade some of these players or cut them. And
Right.
I don't know, maybe, I'm sure people would trade probably for some of these players, but I don't think he's going to do that.
No, I don't think he is either.
All right, lastly, let's talk about the Lynx.
Well, Jordan still has 4 tournaments left on his contract. That is a lot.
He signed a big contract last season.
He's there. First of all, I can't see him leaving anyways, but he's there for a while for good. Steven was on a high school contract, which is now expired.
No, because he's only a sophomore in high school, so that's not expiring for another couple years.
Wow, I didn't know he was a sophomore. Well, then the core of their team is still together. I don't think you mess with it. Do you? No, I don't think so.
Let me ask you this. Anthony Nussbaum has 1 tournament left on his contract because he was a rookie.
Yeah.
We've seen Joe Lynn. We consider the core of this team to be Jordan and Steven, right?
Yes.
So, and they used to have Tierney.
Yeah.
And we didn't consider Tierney to be core on that team, did we?
No, she was only there for one turn.
And she wasn't there when the Lynx won their title back in JAL IX.
Right.
So, I assume we're not really considering Anthony Nussbaum to be part of the core of this team, are we?
No, not yet. No.
So, is there any chance you think, Brock, that history could repeat itself here, and Joe Lynn could possibly cut or trade Anthony Nussbaum this offseason?
Before the next tournament.
Before the next tournament.
I think there's a chance, yes. That could definitely happen. I would lean more toward her giving him 1 more tournament at least before she makes a move, but I could see that as a possibility.
Do you think it's more likely that he plays out that last term on his contract and then she just chooses not to re-sign him after that?
Yeah, I think that's more of a possibility. But I wouldn't rule out him not playing on the Lynx in JAL XIII.
Alright. Let's move on to the free agent names that are out there this offseason. And you know what? They're not as exciting as the offseason we had going into JAL XII. There was a lot of big-name free agents,
right.
in the last offseason.
Right, but
and
the
there was
first
a lot
one,
of incoming new rookies.
Yeah.
And you never know which rookies can come into the league between now and JAL XIII. Hopefully there's, a lot of them again.
Exactly.
But let's talk about the veteran players that
the veteran players.
Their contracts are up. They're free agents right now.
Right. Well, I really only see one that I would really consider a veteran player, and that's Tate Klein. I mean, do you really consider anyone else a veteran player?
Well, the others that we put on this list, they're veterans technically in the sense that they've played, a tournament or 2 tournaments or 3 tournaments, but Tate has played the most out of that group.
Right. He's obviously the biggest name on the list.
Oh,
I mean, just from what you've seen in past tournaments, but also in the last one. He was the second best hitter there, I think. But, we talked about him and what we think he might do. What do you think Nick is going to do going forward? Because like we talked about a little bit earlier, he was pretty good.
Yeah, Nick Proudfit, I think the Rapids will try to re-sign him. I could see maybe the underdogs going after him.
Yeah.
You know, the Lynx have a few dollars in cap space. No, they only have $1. Probably not them. You know, maybe the Cobras. We have a few dollars in cap space.
True.
I don't know. I think someone's going to pick him up. I think it'd be stupid if no one did because he was...
Yeah, I agree.
He was a quality player.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. If Coop gets his team, which I think he will, because I think he wants that, do you think he would take anyone off this list right here? One, maybe two guys? Go after a couple guys? Do you think Tate would consider joining his team and being the starting pitcher? That's interesting.
I think he would because Kyle would have a lot of cap space for one. He
Yeah.
would throw probably the most money at anybody.
True.
If he gets his own team. The real question is, I don't think Tate would want to play with Kyle.
Because Kyle wants to be a pitcher too?
Kyle wants to be a pitcher, and
Yeah.
I mean, you're coming out with the top 20 players list soon. I mean, is he even going to be on that list? He didn't have a great tournament.
I don't know. It'd be a stretch
it's-
for him to be on that, but
We'll
yeah.
see there. Well, real quick, what do you think if Tate were to not re-sign with the Express? Where do you think he would end up?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know, the only one I can really see is, well, I could see him signing with the Cobras because he can split time, maybe even pitch full time there.
Over Michael?
Oh, I forgot Michael was coming back. Yeah, but how many tournaments does he have left?
Sullivan has one tournament left on his deal.
Yeah. Well, maybe after that tournament, but really I can't see him going anywhere else because the Fog really is the only place that maybe he'd be able to pitch, and I just don't think he wants to go there.
Well, what about the underdogs?
I don't think he wants to be a part of that. I don't. Do you? Because Dustin's
underdogs,
going, Coop's probably going.
They're that one franchise in the league, the underdog, is that they're like the Cleveland Browns. You don't want to touch it.
The only way I can see him going there is if Granny, Kathy Woodruff, signs someone else before him that would maybe intrigue him. Maybe like a Nick Proudfit.
I don't know who that would be.
Yeah, maybe a Nick Proudfit, maybe a...
What about the Rapids? Could he go to the Rapids?
Maybe. If he finds out, if they find out Ty's knee isn't going to really work for pitcher, maybe. But that would be pretty late in the process. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I think he's going to stay with the Express, obviously, but if he was going anywhere else, I don't know. It's kind of up in the air.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out. Do you think Ty Franklin will stay with the Bison?
Yeah, I do too. He's got friends there, and yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next off season will be interesting because if you were listening to any of that, a lot of people have one tournament left on their contracts, and a lot of them are big names.
Yeah.
So next off season will be hectic. Like half the league will be.
Yeah.
Very. That would be some of the
Very hectic. Plus, always the newcomers that kind of come out of nowhere. So, it'll be interesting.
Yes, it will.
Alright, is that it?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Alright, thanks for coming back, guys, for a 5th episode. You guys keep coming back. That's good. As always, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at JAL_wiffleball, and on Snapchat, JAL-wiffleball. For me and Cale, see you later.